Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the WIL University of Technology Student Academic Development Support and Work Integrated Learning show, live here at COMETSA Television Network, our video streaming platform. The show is brought to you by WIL University of Technology Cooperative Education Department in partnership with COMETSA Friends and Supporters Club. This is a monthly show taking place on the last Wednesday of every month, the exception of the month of December and January. So you will meet us on the same platform, same time. This is the show that is aimed at enlightening the stakeholders about the work we do in as far as students' academic development support and work integrated learning. We have been having this series, inviting the key players at the university. Right now, we're focusing on the work integrated learning coordinators. And today we are joined by one such colleague. This is the mind, the journey, the destiny. We apply our mind to the journey that takes us to our destiny. These shows are based on the principle we call the idea. We inform and entertain, develop and educate, empower and support, associate and network. That's the idea. I'm joined by none other than Khanyisile Ngidi. She happens to be the alumnus of the WIL University of Technology of the WIL program per se, and she is now a lecturer and of course a coordinator, as I mentioned. Khanyisile, welcome. This is your moment. How are you?
Thank you so much, Mr. Nzima. I am great. I am honestly great. I'm doing well, and I'm very excited to be on the show tonight. And yeah, I'm ready to have this beautiful conversation and also engage with those who are watching, and hopefully we bring something that they can learn and also inspire as well.
How is it to be the alumni of the Work Integrated Learning Program at WIL University of Technology and then become the coordinator?
Well, firstly, it's really great because you've been in the system on both sides. So I've experienced the system basically on both sides as a student, where you understand the challenges that you face as a student, and then when you become now a WIL coordinator, because I'm on the other side of the desk now, it's easier for me. I think it was quite easy, even though when I became the WIL coordinator, I was a bit, terrified. I was like, oh my word, I'm just a little girl. But, I went into it very confidently because I understood the perceptions of the students, and I understand the challenges that I faced, and not just me, but my classmates then. And so I understand that side, and coming this side, I had to understand now what a WIL coordinator has to do. So I think that kind of really helped me in bridging, and adapting to this position that I am in now. And I believe I'm doing quite well because of it as well. So it wasn't much of adjusting that I needed because of the prior experience I had when it comes to WIL.
Wow. Let's rewind and inform the viewers as to who Khanyisile is. Where do you hail from?
Okay, so Khanyisile is a young girl all the way from the east of Johannesburg. So I'm from a township, I could say it's a small township called Vosloorus. It's under the Ecotourism municipality, like I just said, the east of Johannesburg in the province of Gauteng in South Africa. So that's where I come from. It's for me, I would say it was a peaceful township. There wasn't a lot, but obviously, back in the days, your 60s, 70s, it did have its own history. But yeah, it's a very relaxed township, like any other township. You might have your pros and your cons, you enjoyed the township life. It just takes me back to playing in the streets, whether we are playing umgusha. So that is like a game we use stockings. So all stockings, tie them together, and we make umgusha, and we're were playing. It could be hopscotch, and we call it iskoshi, and I enjoyed. I was a very playful child, and I was a tomboy at it. So I think
Yeah.
when I grew up, my parents, everyone was just surprised. They're like, "Oh my gosh, wear heels, you do your nails, you do your hair," because I was just that one child who loved playing and come back home around 7, and obviously I would get a nice hiding for that. Because you judge with the Apollo, so you need to look at the Apollo. If the Apollo or the street lights turns on, you need to
Then
make
it's
sure
time
that
to go
you.
home.
Yes. So that's
Yeah.
my childhood, and that is who Khanyisile is. I am the youngest of three girls. So I've got two older sisters, and I grew up in a household with both parents. Fortunately enough, I'm grateful to God for that. And that is who I am, a young, God fearing girl who is very determined, takes on challenges head on. And I'd always like to say I'm very, optimistic. I see the glass half full instead of half empty. So, in a nutshell, that is who Khanyisile is. And that's
Yeah.
where I
That's
hail
part
from.
of the world. We used to call it Katoras.
Yes, some people still refer to it as Katorius, because with Katorius, you are now including Katlehong and Togoza. So those are the neighboring townships to Vosloorus. Yes.
Katlehong, Tokosa, Vosloorus.
Yes, yes.
I
Known as
was part of the
Katorius.
bigger city of Ekurhuleni.
Yes, yes.
Which school did you go to?
Okay, so with my lower education, so primary, I went to Alberton Primary School. I enjoyed my years there. I mean, I'll always say I never forget my primary, because I believe that's where actually this confidence started. Because when I was in grade 1, I took part in Eisteddfod, and I had one of the best teachers ever, who would teach you how to speak, train you to be confident and so forth. So yeah, Alberton Primary is where I went to, and then in high school I went to Boksburg High School. So that's where I did my schooling, and then yeah, I didn't continue with sports in high school. I guess it was just nah, but I did sports in primary, was very active. Like I said, I was a very playful child. So I did my sports and all of that. But in high school, I think also I was so focused on studying, because you must focus on, getting university admission. So
Mm,
I
mm.
kind of had to,
So
not.
you've always been this child that catches a taxi in the morning away from townships to school somewhere in the town or in the city, and then
Oh
come
no,
back in the evening like
yes.
everybody else that come from work.
Not always though, not always though. Yes, I would always catch. I use the bus, actually. I use the bus to school, but sometimes I would come back quite early. So 2, 2:30, because school would come out at 2. So 2:30 or even 3, I'm at home. So it didn't really take me that long to come back home. Sometimes my dad would fetch me, because he also worked not far from my high school. And if he had knocked off early, I'd then get that opportunity, to
Mm,
get picked up, and we go to the mall, of course, and enjoy a nice takeaway. So yeah, but it was very
yeah,
nice. I think I really
yeah.
enjoyed
By
my
that I
second.
mean you didn't go to a township school.
Yeah, no, 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 I didn't, and
Was
I am
there a
fortunate.
reason for that?
I think it's my parents' decision, really. My dad would always tell us that, not that he had anything against township schools, but he would want his children to have a better experience than what he had, So he made sure that he would always tell us, I'm working hard so that you have a better future than what I had.
Mm,
So
mm,
hence now he said, I will take you to the best schools that I can afford. And the best at that time was your Alberton and Boksburg High. And I'm quite happy, because look at where I am today, and it has produced it has its fruits. And
mm,
he
mm,
is very proud, or he would be very proud of where we are today. So
mm,
yes.
mm, mm. Your dad is passed on?
Yes, he is late. And when, oh my word, I did not believe it when he left us, actually, because he was such an intricate part of my life. I always said I am my father's son that he never had, because I spent so much time with him. Literally, if it's he's doing something with the car, I'm there. If he's fixing a plug or an iron or a kettle, I'm there. And that's why I'm also able to do those things, because I literally spend time with my dad. So if we're cleaning the engine together, I know exactly what to cover, what shouldn't touch or get in contact with water, and all of those things. So changing a tire, I can definitely do that. So my dad trained us, to be independent. So we don't really need a male to do all these things, or you don't have to be a male rather, but you can do it. If you need to screw something, you can do that. Changing the light bulb, you can do that. So he made sure that we grew up as independent young girls. So yeah, I'm grateful to him for that. So yeah, he was my best friend.
I'm intrigued by now that you're explaining it. It sort of answers what I was going to ask. I'm intrigued by your decision to follow ecotourism, coming from the townships, and what inspired that decision?
So when it comes to ecotourism, I think firstly it would go back to my dad again in a way, and I'll explain that. So we always had pets at home. I don't remember my yard not having dogs, literally. And it's not just your, harmless dogs. He always had your dogs that are considered dangerous, so your pit bulls, your bull terriers. We always had those. But I really love dogs. So I think my love for animals really started there. And funny enough, ecotourism was not my first option at all. I wanted to be a doctor, and I saw myself there. Hence the type of subjects I took in high school. I took your pure maths, physics, life sciences, also known as biology, and and also history. So I was like, okay, I can be a doctor. But then obviously, when I did my job shadowing, no, I didn't mind the hospital really, but I think the one factor that, was just like the nail to the coffin was seeing someone lose their lives. And for me, I just went back home. That day, I think I was really depressed. And I told my parents, I don't think I'll be able to handle that. I don't drink, but I think I'll become a drunkard because I'm trying to deal with this whole notion. So that's what I wanted to do. But I think because of my love for animals, I then gravitated towards that. So ecotourism is all about, environmental conservation and sustainability. And as I spent more time in the course and completing my qualification, I then realized that actually there's also a need for that, because people in our society, or the township to be specific, are not aware of what I was doing. Because I noticed when people say, "What are you studying?" and I'll tell them ecotourism. Like, what's that? Is it economics and tourism? I was like, no, it does have an element of tourism, but it's a conservation, and they didn't have the awareness, because you'd see our townships they are literally covered in filth. They are literally covered in filth, and people don't really understand the importance of keeping your environment clean. And such things are also part of what ecotourism is all about. So it's about conservation and protecting the resources that we have, and being the custodians of those resources. So and funny enough,
were you already that aware of such things when you were choosing it, or this is as a result of what you have now learned about it?
Initially, it was as a result of what I've learned about, but initially, no, sorry. So it was as a result, but initially it was because of the love of nature and animals. So I really loved animals, and I'd always tell my dad, my favorite animal is a lion. And I wanted to now work with lions. What do you mean? I think that would have been the best thing for me. So hence, I went towards ecotourism, and I was with my dad actually, because when I went to go and apply, I had initially then applied for biotechnology, and I did not get space. It was full, and they wanted to then transfer me to electrical engineering. And I told my dad, I don't like engineering. I can do it. I've got so much capacity and capabilities of doing it, but I really don't like engineering. And then my dad is like, but I remember we had a conversation and you said you want to do something with nature, and I was like, yes. So that was my second option. And then I went towards that. And this is how I then landed and found myself registering for ecotourism. And I believe it's all in God's plan because everything worked out beautifully. But with the others that I had applied for, it was a bit of a struggle. Even though I qualified and they said that they were able to take me, there was just no space. So I guess it wasn't destined for me to be in that stream. So yeah.
Any reasons why you chose the WIL University of Technology?
So with the WIL University of Technology, when I checked about the ecotourism, at that time it was three universities of technology who were offering it. So it was WIL, it was TUT, and it was also DUT. KZN is too far for me.
Yeah.
TUT, we always had this thing of Pitori Mahlanyeng, and it was very busy, and and I was also not trying to go to Johannesburg because it's dangerous. And apart from that, I didn't want to go back to high school. So many of my classmates then would say they're going to Wits, UJ, and all of that. So I wanted to be far but close. So Val is just like an hour, 45 minutes to an hour away. So I was far enough for my independence, but close
Yeah.
enough if I really need to go back home. So
Yeah.
hence, I think the Val and also the course that the second option that I wanted for myself, which was ecotourism.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And did they then promote the WIL program to you? When did you decide that WIL will be the route for you, or is because it's mandatory? I guess.
It started as it was promoted to me, so I was then put into that. So what we do in our department is that we have a rotation. So it's a rotational system where, if you are not the course coordinator, then you become the WIL coordinator because there are various responsibilities as a lecturer. So it so happened that I then took over from my previous colleague who was the previous WIL coordinator. Then I took over and I stepped in. And I remember asking her, why did you choose me, to step in as the WIL coordinator? And she's like, no, because you're quite good with people. And your interaction, you're able to interact with people and you understand, and that's what WIL is about. When you are communicating with people in industry, you really need to understand how they communicate. So you must be good with people skills, communication skills, and I think I possess that, and I was considered to be a WIL coordinator. So yeah, that's how I
Yeah. For the
got in.
interest of those who are listening and they haven't been to the university, perhaps they're still planning to go there. Let's talk about what really WIL is, work
Okay.
integrated learning, and why is it so necessary to a point that it's made compulsory for the kind of studies you will do in your faculty.
Okay, so WIL is basically an abbreviation for work integrated learning. And some people will call it vocational work or work-based learning. So basically, it's all about students going into the industry. So they're going to a particular company where I say it's usually the textbook coming to life, where you are now implementing all that you have learned during the theory. The 3 years, and all the theory you've learned, you're now applying it in the workplace in real time with real problems, and to see if really what you have learned, can you apply it? Do you really understand it? And can you come up with solutions? So you are testing all of that. And that's why WIL is so important. And the reason that we have WIL in my particular course is, firstly, when you look at the VAL, area, we don't really have the wildlife setting. So therefore, we can't say that students will have an understanding of what's happening in that environment. And therefore, that's why WIL is so important, because we are able to take them to these different settings. So for example, one of the areas where students go to for their WIL would be your national parks, so sand parks. And, for example, Kruger National Park. We don't have such a setting in the Vaal. I mean, we do have your urbanized ones, such as your animal world in Emerald, but that is not enough for them to learn and, really cover the entire content of the qualification that they have learned. So, yeah, that's why we have work integrated learning, so that our students are able to really, see if they understand the content of what they've learned in class, and really see how they would how the textbook really works in real life. So that's why it's so important, and it's not just for us, but I mean other courses as well. You can't just learn about how to weld, for example, but you've never really touched a welding machine with that nut, or bolt, and weld it onto something that you need to. So it's the practical
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what subjects do you cover in a course towards ecotourism?
Okay, so basically, students would need to do life sciences. It's very important. Life science is one of the prerequisites, because we do have subjects such as your natural resource management. We've got a subject such as biology. We've got your biogeography, and we've got your, so wildlife or game ranch management, and they deal with nature and, different species, etc. Different your plant identification, and it does get a bit intricate. So students would need that background as well. So life science is definitely one of them. And then maths or maths lit is considered. But obviously, your maths lit, maybe I think it would have to be a level 4, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, and then obviously English, the languages, and what else? I think geography is also beneficial, especially for biogeography. But life science is that one key module that is, yes, because of the majority of the modules that we have that focus on that particular setting or topic.
Which subject did you like most?
Is it high school or is it varsity?
At varsity, as you were doing
Varsity.
your, yeah.
I think I loved the biology subjects a lot, because I really enjoyed life science, for example, in high school. So I really enjoyed those, and I don't know, but I think I was a very dedicated student, so I made sure that I did well in all my subjects. But I really enjoyed your wildlife. I really enjoyed your biology modules, because I was able to better relate because of the love I had, like I said, prior in high school. Yes.
Yeah. And the diploma that you then graduated from, what do we call it?
So the diploma I graduated is called National Diploma in Ecotourism Management.
And
Yes.
you proceeded to postgraduate?
Yes, then I proceeded. I did my BTech. At that time, it was BTech. And then from my BTech, I then did my MTech, so which is the same level as your master's. Yes. So back then, BTech was like combination of your advanced and your postgraduate. So now, yes, now it would be your advanced and then your postgraduate studies and then your master's. But BTech was a combination of those two at then.
Yes. The fact that you're taking it that far, I guess you'll probably proceed into PhD. And what's the reason?
No, definitely.
What's the reason for it? You fall in love with academic or what?
Yes, no, definitely. I think from first year when I enrolled, I used to have a conversation with my friend to say, we are red gown girls. So that is the ultimate goal, is we are red gown girls, and we are definitely going to have that. So PhD has always been there. It's always been the long-term goal at that time. And I've fallen in love with academia. I will not lie. I really have fallen in love, when you are able to see the endless possibilities that are there when it comes to academia, especially research. And you are able to put so much impact into even other spheres of knowledge. I mean, when I think about it, I'm able to contribute to the policies that we have regarding, ecotourism. I'm able to, have some form of impact when it comes to the Department of Fishery, Forestry, and the Environment, for example. When you look at policies, etc. So, really, doing research for me, I think research is one thing that has captured Me as well when it comes to academia. So, and also just getting the best of both worlds. You are still, behind the desk. You're still able to interact with students, but you're also able to go out there into the field and experience the bush. So I think that's why I really love it. So I'm not in the bush, 100%, but I'm able to get a balance and get the best of both worlds. So yeah.
And I guess that's the result of you being a WIL coordinator. You have to take students to the bush, into the
Oh
bush.
no, Oh no, definitely. I think it starts even with our lower levels as well, like first year and second year. So we have field trips, like I said, because we don't have any settings that really speak to what we do. So we have something called field trips where we take our first years and second years out to different locations. Obviously, it's also like an outside class as well, because you find that some of the students that we get have never seen how a reserve looks like. They've never visited a reserve. They've never interacted with the rules of conservation. So we need to take them to these setups to actually experience being a tourist, or rather an eco-tourist. How does it feel? What should I be conscious of? And it's just a learning process for them. So even with that, we do take our students into the bush where now they need to learn about the various biomes, that they're the different species or animals that you find in these different biomes and so forth. So yeah, again, it's getting the best of both worlds, even with WIL, where our students, need to go out there into these various companies and start, experiencing the practical side of things. So yeah.
Mm. It might sound like WIL coordinator role is the main job, but you are a lecturer, and this isn't over and above you being a lecturer that you do the coordination. Why is it so important? What is involved in the whole value chain of being a WIL coordinator? Just take us through all the various steps and that you have to
Sure.
follow to fulfill that role, so that somebody understands. Even though I know it's not the main role, but you have to still do that.
I know it's a very important role though, because I mean, when you look at WIL, you are also looking at the throughput, for example, and the throughput is very important because you're looking at how many students will be graduating from the program versus how many students were enrolled at first year level. And throughput is very important when it comes to a university setup. But I won't go deeper into that. But throughput is very important, and that's why WIL is so important as well. Um, Phew, but it requires a lot. Really, I think I was attending a will workshop a couple of months back, I think 2 months back. And one of the ladies there said, being a will coordinator, you really need to be a magician because you are performing miracles. you
Mhm.
know, all the time. And you are like a superhuman because you've got so much that you have to do and so much admin. I think I even get messages from students around 10, 11, and that's my private time, at home. But I mean, you understand that the students are out there in the bushes, and if they need any assistance, you must be on dial, to be able
Mm,
to assist them.
mm,
So it,
mm.
it requires a lot. And it's not just that, but it's approvals, it's vetting if the companies that are there that are willing to take our students are suitable, because you
Okay.
can't just allow your student to go to any company. So, for example, with ecotourism, we are very company specific. So a student can't say, can I go to a hotel? A
Yeah.
hotel would not be suitable, because they won't be able to also check, or rather see how animal husbandry is done, for example. So finding suitable places that our students need to go to, creating relations with the
Mm,
industry. And
mm.
it's a lot, explaining to some industry colleagues, because some of these reserves have not hosted students before. So you'd need to ask, do you guys provide such, or are you willing to do
Yeah.
such? And some of them are really willing, but setting up meetings and explaining what their part will be, and obviously bringing also cooperative education, because now they also liaison with companies to say, okay, no, for further liaisons, you communicate with them for whatever information will be required from them. So that's what happens. So it's quite a lot, but you make time and you manage it. You really try and manage it, because
Mm,
I
mm.
think ever since I've been a WIL coordinator, I haven't really had December holidays, because
Wow.
my
But,
December
but
holiday.
but being in the bush is like being on holiday, I guess. Don't you
Yeah,
don't you end up extending your staying there and enjoy the environment?
you try and make the most of it, but also because of the limited time, so you need to also work around that. You need to make sure you go when students are around, because some of them will want to take leave, so
Yeah.
you just need to work around it, but you try and make the most of it. So I
Mm.
always call it a workcation, because
Yeah.
you are working, but you are not in your normal working setup. So
Mm.
yeah, you
So
could say that.
do you have a community of WIL coordinators at VUT that get together and you get to share your experiences?
Oh yes, definitely. No, we do. Where okay, usually we would have like meetings and so forth, just to understand how, the challenges that we are faced with. For example, how are things and so forth? Are there any changes, or updates and so forth? We do have. So it's really they're very supportive. So cooperative education is there. If you have any grievances, questions, queries, and so forth, they are there to answer. And also, we've got an awards ceremony where they acknowledge the people in the industry who take on, our students, and the various seaters as well. So it's not just where industry takes our students, but we also recognize the great work that they do, and obviously recognition would then
Mm.
come, and happen at the awards ceremony. So
Mm.
yeah.
So it's interesting. Even though you loved going into this role, somehow it sounds like you've had to transform to fit into demands and dynamics of this kind of
Yes.
work. How
Yes.
is it? How is that being? How is it transformed you? This role.
Oh, firstly, when it comes to communication skills, you need to now adjust to different characters, firstly.
Mm. Mm.
Um, Secondly, would be language. Oh my, oh my. Language, definitely. And I think,
Are we talking
considering.
about regional languages?
Yes, so for example, Limpopo, you've got your Tsonga and your Venda, and that's
Yes.
where we also have a number of reserves there as well. So you find that some of our students are from Limpopo, and now I find myself there, and you find that some of the supervisors in the reserves are a bit older, and they are not well versed in the English language. So I
Mm.
had to now try and learn Tsonga. I can hear it, but I'm not really good at speaking it. But no, we can definitely communicate. But when it comes to Venda, who, but I've taken it upon myself to actually learn. So I've learned, a few words here and there, and I'm still on the journey of learning, because you really need to, know most of the languages in South Africa, if not all, because of communication.
Mm.
So
Mm.
yes, that's how it's transformed me as well. And also time management. Now you
Mm.
need to use your time wisely, because you might have to mark exams or set up tests, have classes, but this side you also have will duties. So how
Mm.
do you now manage all of that? And it's not just that, you also have the field trips, you've got research on the side where you need to attend conferences, whether internationally or nationally. So it's a lot, and you just need to know how to manage everything and not really burn out, but try and manage everything so that you are able to cope with
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how it really transformed me in those three elements that I've just mentioned. So yeah,
Mm.
that's how it is.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. So, how much of ecotourism is there within our overall tourism industry in South Africa? How big is the ecotourism contribution to the overall ecotourism? To
Oh
the
no,
overall.
to the overall tourism. No, it is quite big, because when you look at ecotourism, within it, you've got various other elements of ecotourism. So you would look at your sustainable tourism, you'd look at your adventure tourism comes into play, nature-based tourism, your urban tourism, for example. So you're looking at the sustainability of your cultural elements, so looking at your museums, looking at your natural resources, like your heritage sites, so all these different aspects of tourism is there. So it has a huge contribution when it comes to tourism. It's not just that you're looking at hunting. There's a huge market for that, because you really have people from different continents coming into Africa and South Africa as well, where they want to come and hunt, because
Yeah.
they love their collectibles, and they just, especially Europeans, they really have an obsession when it comes to hunting, and Africa has the best game for that. So yeah, so it does have a huge contribution when it comes to tourism overall, because it brings people in as well into your
And how is
country.
the demand for qualified people in the industry?
Oh, no, there is a demand. There's a demand because now there's different qualifications, or rather work,
Yeah.
or employment, yes, that students can look into. So it's not just your tourism monitors. You've got your field guides, guiding. It could be your field guiding, it could be city guiding as well, so it could be urban or in the bush. You've got your management of reserves. You've got, so it's a lot. You've got your rangers. It's really a lot. So there's a variety of
Yeah.
career options that
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
can look into within the space of tourism. So there is a demand for it. And how am I confident to say this is because we also hold advisory board meetings where we communicate with industry to say, is it still relevant? We don't want to just pump students into the industry, but there is no demand for it. So is it still relevant? Do you need us to change certain things in our course, or our qualification to remain relevant in industry and so forth? So we look into that. So yes, it is quite relevant, and there are various career paths for our students within the industry.
I'm wondering how many high school graduates who come into the university will be aware of career directions into ecotourism.
Not a lot.
Not a lot. Can
Not a
that
lot.
be addressed? Should that be addressed?
I think it should. Again, it goes back to awareness, and the lack of knowledge, because our students, when you look at our society, typically we are designed to focus on your students will say, I want to be a doctor or a nurse or an engineer. And that's what parents also feed, their children, to say, no, you must be a doctor, you must be an engineer, you must be this, and really don't focus on such career paths. So when students come, sometimes we have students who say, no, I knew what ecotourism is when I applied, but others will say, I didn't know.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
then fall in love with it. So some are knowledgeable and informed about it, but others aren't. So we then come in and we have to tell them. So we always have your introduction sections, where in those sessions we tell students, before we even start classes, what ecotourism is all about. Firstly, ask them what they think it's about, just to get an idea of, their mental space. Where are they? What do they think it
Yeah.
is? And then we give them the information to say, this is what you are enrolled for, and
Yeah.
this is what is expected of you, and this is where you can potentially land when you're looking at your career. So we tell them the various career paths that they're able to take when it comes to tourism. And some of them really stay. They're like, okay, no, I love this and I will stay. And then others, obviously, if they're not interested, they would then deregister and change to a different career or course completely.
I guess one of the challenges with this kind of a career is that it is really far. It is located in far places away from, should I say, the mating crowd.
No, definitely. But also, I think, like I said, with our society, we don't have much information about it, and we see it as it's for the white people, like some people would say. I mean, when you look at a lot of field guides, you see that there's a lot of white people. Not to, I'm not, trying to step on any racial toes whatsoever. But when you look at that, so people will always say, right, our society will say, no, but it's not for me. They can't
mm,
see themselves. So where do I then fit into this? But
mm,
if they say I'm a doctor, they've seen a lot of practices. For example, in the township, oh, this one is a doctor, this one became this. So those career paths are more glorified than you
mm,
would any environmental studies. So,
mm,
and I think it's up to us that in our immediate society and environment, we're able to bring that awareness to our local people to say, but you need to be aware of this and that and that. And that's what I
mm.
really try and do with young people, especially in my township, where I'd ask them, what do you want to do? What are you
Yeah.
passionate about? Do you know that there are other options apart from being a nurse, a teacher, or a doctor, an engineer? There are other career paths that you can actually look into. And I've seen a great response to them, because some of them ended up going to varsity, and they are currently studying, and they're enjoying what they're doing because they didn't even know what it was until I
Yeah.
was like, let's sit down. Let's do research about it. Are you happy with this? This is what you could potentially do as a career or as a job later on when you're done with your qualification. And yeah, so it's the little I
That's
can do.
excellent, because I always say that whether you are at the church or at a wedding, or you meet young people and you are in this profession, it's always good to make yourself available to play that
Definitely.
mentorship role, because it's not easy. So I can imagine the kind of challenges that you have to deal with when you have placed the students and the employers in those environments. Share with us some of the common ones that you
Phew.
have to ask.
So with common challenges, excuse me, that we usually face would be firstly funding. um,
Yeah.
where funding is not always there for our
Mm,
students.
mm,
And I mean, think of the areas that our students really go to. It's remote areas, and you would definitely need the funding for that. So
mm.
funding would be the first one. And second one would be obviously adjusting to the environment, because some
Yeah.
students are literally from the city.
Yeah.
They have never been to the rurals because even their families are within the city.
Mm,
So they
mm,
never really had a reason to go into the villages to maybe get, a taste of how it would be. So now they're in the bush for 6 months, and they
mm.
need to make it work. It's a culture shock for them, and how they need to now
Yes.
adapt. And so that's another challenge. But one thing I usually do with my
Mm,
students from when they are in first year, actually, I have adapted this to say I will give them hints, and I'll tell them that when you go out there, this is what you should expect. So I do not create a rosy
yeah.
scenario for them, but I always tell them the truth to say,
Mm,
this is the kind of setting you will find yourself in,
mm.
and you will need to shape up. You will need to be ready for it mentally and physically if required. You need to make sure you are ready for it. And um, I've seen students, adapt to it beautifully. I remember last time I was visiting one of the reserves, visiting my students. It's there in Zanin. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Zanin. And when I was there, I literally found students, they found a place where they can do their nails. So I was like, where did you find a place to do your nails in the bushes? And they're like, no, there's a lady who started a salon and she now does nails. So now you see they're bringing in, that
Mm,
element. Like, no, man, because I'm going home, I need to look good because I haven't been doing my nails all this time. So, they try and make the most of what they have in these
yeah.
remote areas. So it's really great to see, these students, some of them learn very valuable life lessons as well, while they're placed in these companies. So there are challenges, but I mean, I've seen a lot of them turn those challenges into opportunities for themselves. So
Mm.
which is really great. Yes.
Yeah, they must be growing very fast. I mean, being dumped in
No,
places like that and have to fend for yourself.
no, they really do. They really have to.
So is that if you were to, as a WIL coordinator, and you were to evaluate yourself, what would be the elements of the scorecard? What are the things that you measure for yourself?
So for myself would be flexibility, number one. You need to be flexible if you're a work coordinator.
Mm,
Um, because sometimes something might happen and you would need to quickly adjust and attend to it. So flexibility is very important. You also need to be able to adjust to these areas, so these environments. So I can't expect my students to
mm,
adjust to these areas, but I can't. So you must also be able to do so. So flexibility is very important, and
mm.
also adaptability as well. You should be able
Yeah.
to adapt to these places as well, and not just that, but adapt to the culture, learn the language so that you're able to communicate. Because sometimes some of these areas don't even have network, and
Mm,
GPS just lets you go. So you must be able to ask the locals. And locals are not really well versed in the English language, which is
mm,
not wrong at all, but you must be able to communicate with them and
yeah.
understand, their language. So hence I said I started learning Chivenda because of that.
Yeah.
You know, yes. So those are some of the criteria that I have, to measure myself. Obviously, confidence is there, discipline as well as
Mm,
there. When you go out there, you really need to be disciplined, whether it's time or with the finances that are given to you as well. You need to make sure that you use everything. Be resourceful, basically.
mm,
You need to be resourceful. How do you use what you have to your advantage? So,
mm.
and also be open to learning. We,
Yeah.
we learn every day, and I think,
Yeah.
like I said, when we had a conversation earlier, is that you need to be open to learning. You can't say you know everything.
Yeah.
No, that's a lie. So you
Mm,
always learn something. So be open to be taught. Sometimes you learn something from someone who doesn't even have a matric
yeah.
certificate,
Yeah.
you know, but you
Absolutely.
you learn so much from them. So be open to learning, be open to, life experiencing, changing life experiences out there. I mean, it's beautiful. We have beautiful people in our country, and everyone has something to offer. So just be open-minded. You can't be a stereotype and survive as a work coordinator. No.
Mm,
So you
mm,
really need to be open-minded. Have Ubuntu has worked for me, when you're welcoming and loving, and it really has also helped me a lot in adapting to the different characters and different people that I meet in this journey as well.
mm, mm. Yeah. I mean, the WIL program must be making impact beyond just the level of education, but also the communities. I mean, the rate at which the students make careers with the support that you give them must be quite encouraging, I guess, because it's not like in the past where you just approach these sites where uh, tourism tourists come to and look for a job. Now you have a structured program. You have relationship with the employers. They know that you are coming every year to bring students. Do
Yeah.
they look forward to welcome students?
Oh, always, definitely. I even have them sometimes call me and say, "Do you have any students for
Yeah,
us?"
yeah,
So,
that's good.
the reception in industry for me and for ecotourism has been really great. It has been exceptional because, I think also it's the type of students that we take to them. It's very important to ensure that our students are very professional,
Yeah.
and they're respectful. The values that they carry and how they carry themselves says a lot about the institution and you as a lecturer. And I always tell my students, if you go out there, you are
Mm,
literally a representation of not just me, but of the institution as well. So it's very
mm,
important to be cognizant of how you carry yourself in these environments.
mm,
So, and I'm also grateful to cooperative education for that, because they do have classes such as work preparedness, where they prepare our students for the workplace.
mm,
and students are able to interact and ask questions. What happens if I'm faced with this particular scenario? How do I deal and get around it, But I've also taken it upon myself to push the narrative even further. So by the time they go for those work preparedness sessions, I have already started, tilling the ground, and I've already prepared the students. Respect is important. Your mindset is very important, and your mindset, the type of mindset you have, will be a break it or make it point for you. So you need to decide where you are. And I mean, I've experienced, great success in that, because companies even take my students. I do have students who are absorbed, and
Yeah.
I'm forever grateful. I mean, I have a student in Pumalanga. He's now a manager, at that
Mhm.
reserve, and he would then send me and say, "Ma'am, do you have more students?" Now he's also opening up the door for the coming generations, in ecotourism. I also have other students who were at Johannesburg Zoo, and they were like, "No, we can't let go of these students. They are exceptional." So, and when I hear such, it
Mm.
really says a lot to me, and that there is impact, and we are doing a great job as VUT. So we should continue, and we can only improve from that point, moving upwards and forward from there.
Yeah. Do you do some benchmarks with other universities of technology around
Oh
how
yeah.
they? Yeah.
Yes, so we do our benchmarks, because also benchmarking is very important, because you need to know why you are unique, or that competitive advantage
Yeah.
at the end of the day, but also seeing the standard that has been set in the industry first of all,
Mm. Mm.
because you can't bring something that is of a lesser standard than other institutions. So that's why benchmarking is so important. But also, if students want to move from one institution to another, they're able to do so. So that's why benchmarking is so important. And that's why, as WIL coordinators, we do have, a forum where different WIL coordinators from different institutions, we come together and we share information. We share our logbooks, that this is how our logbook looks like,
Mm.
how does yours look like? So we share that information. This is what I use to make life a bit simpler for myself. Maybe you could adapt to that. And it's just beautiful, because it makes the work light. Really, it does. And so benchmarking, yes, we do that, and I've had great results from that, because I was able to learn, how different logbooks, for example, look like, how they assess their students,
Yeah.
for WIL in these different places. So I also had to adjust, and you pick this and here. Obviously, you modify to what suits you and your students, but definitely it has helped me greatly, greatly, greatly. So benchmarking is very important.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Now, when you look at yourself and the journey you traveled and the attributes that you have now, most of it are learned attributes because of you being in the role. But if somebody is out there and is wanting to do what you do as a will coordinator, what kind of attributes must they possess?
Okay, so firstly, as a work coordinator, you must be an academic staff
Mhm.
first
You
and
must be a
foremost.
lecturer.
Yes, you must be a lecturer, and being a lecturer, you need to study, meaning you must obtain your master's. And when I
Yeah,
tell people that, people are like, no, I don't want to go that far. Well, you have to go that far. And I always say, a master's is like a learner's, when I now compare it to driving, it's like a learner's. And then your PhD is your license to drive. So it's your
yeah,
license to practice. But a master's is what firstly you will need to be an academic staff, or to be a lecturer. And then from then on, obviously, it depends on the department that you are in,
yeah,
and how they have set the structure. Do you need to be a senior staff? So a senior staff would be a staff member with a PhD,
yeah.
or even if you have a master's, you can become a coordinator. And yeah, it also looks at yourself as an individual. Are you an open person? Do you enjoy traveling? Are you flexible? Like I said, are you able to adapt to different types of situation? Can you work under pressure? Because sometimes you really have to work under pressure, and produce the results that are expected of you. And you're not just producing mediocre results, you are producing exceptional results under that pressure. So one should consider that. So once obviously you have your master's and you're a lecturer, then you can consider that. Are you good with communicating with industry people? Because communication is very important. And how do you communicate?
Yeah.
And so forth. Presenting skills, for example, very important as well, because there's times where you might have to do a few PowerPoints for the industry just for them
Mm,
to understand what is going on with the course and so forth. So that's also very important. So yeah,
mm,
that's
mm.
among the attributes that
Yeah.
one would need. Yeah.
Yeah. But definitely the role is appealing. I think I mean, I listened to the exciting things you're sharing with us. For anybody who's still developing their career, this can only be enlightening to try and do. Of course, we want us to meet those requirements. Yeah. So for the students, the high school students that are listening, uh, you did mention subjects that you've done. Just repeat those subjects that you think will be relevant for your studies in the ecotourism management.
Okay, so firstly, they need to make sure that they have life sciences. That is a very important subject. Life sciences or biology, that's very important. Geography would be very beneficial as well for the students, and also with the level that you get. So if you're doing maths or maths lit, that is okay. We do consider you, but the levels, your pass levels, that's very important. So we do not take level two, for
Mm,
example.
mm,
Level two, the system automatically kicks you out. So it's very important that students fight to not get a level two. Level one, level two, you will not cut it. But level three, you might be considered. Obviously, it would be depend on other students and their performance as well, because you are on a list when you apply.
mm,
So it would depend on who has performed well. But those
mm,
are the two subjects I would encourage for students to have if they want to take subjects in grade 9, and if you're already in the higher levels of high school, then make sure that you do really well. So level 4 upwards, and
mm,
I always tell my students that it's really unfortunate that the pass rate is 30% in our high schools, because when you come to us, for example, for our students to qualify for the examination, they need 50%. And
mm,
now it's a shift for them. So I would encourage students, don't aim for a 30%, to
mm,
say I just passed, but really aim for getting 50 and above. Really, 50 must be your lowest at least. So that also trains you when you go to university, that you are
mm.
able to perform really well and obtain those marks that you need to qualify for examination and move forward in the qualification. So that's the advice I have for
Beautiful.
in high
I
school.
hope I hope they take that into consideration and really try to make careers in this field, because our country is beautiful. We've got beautiful
Oh, we have a
nature.
beautiful
Wow.
country, and I would really love that the young people become the custodians of the resources that we have in South Africa. South Africa is a beautiful country, and I really want the young people to travel and see what we have. When you travel to other African countries and you come back home and you realize that now God favored us and He gave us a gem inside. Oh,
Yeah.
He really favored us, and
Mm,
you just want them to understand, you
mm,
know, the
mm.
depth and the weight of what we have and taking
Yeah.
care of it.
And
Yeah.
Ubuntu is us, right? We have
And
it.
Ubuntu is us. We are born with it. It is in
Yeah.
our DNA. And I love the saying that says, it's not just DNA, it's RSA, it's the Republic of South Africa.
Beautiful.
And that's who we are
Beautiful.
as a people. So
Kanye, it's been beautiful talking to you. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Khanyisile Ngidi, the lecturer of ecotourism at the Valley University of Technology, Department of Ecotourism and Communication, Integrated Communication,
it's tourism,
and
integrated community.
tourism,
Yes, yes, yes.
tourism integrated communication.
Tourism and integrated communications. So it's the Department of Tourism and Integrated Communications.
And it falls under which faculty?
It falls under the Faculty of Human Sciences.
Beautiful,
Yes,
beautiful.
yes.
I hope they do visit you there, the university, when they come to register for their degrees, and also at the same time join the WIL program. The colleagues in the
I know.
College of Education are there
No,
to help.
definitely. I look forward to them coming. And fortunately, the WIL program is a prerequisite before they complete their qualification. So they will definitely be entering this program and interacting with me if they are taking the ecotourism qualification or registering for it, rather. So, yeah, and I can't wait to meet them and
Beautiful,
meet
beautiful.
them.
I hope we have inspired you too. How have we inspired you with this conversation and reflecting on the journey you travel and the work you do?
Pardon, please repeat that again. Sorry.
I said, I hope we inspired you as well by asking you to reflect on your own journey.
Oh yes, no, definitely. I think it's very important to always reflect because you realize how far you've come and all the goals that you had and what you have achieved till this far. So thank you so much. A young girl like me from a township, and look at where I am today, traveling the world, meeting great scholars, and also having impact not just in our society, but in the world at large with our research and also with what we impart in students that come and that we face on a daily in our lecture halls. So really, your dreams are valid and you can achieve anything you set your mind to. So thank you so much for this opportunity. I am really honored and eternally grateful for it, Ms. Densima.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
that
much.
was our 17th edition of the Val University of Technology Student Academic Development Support and WIL, which stands for Work Integrated Learning Show here at COMETSA Television Network. The mind, the journey, the destiny. We apply our mind to the journey that takes us to our destiny. The shows are based on the principle that we call the idea. We inform and entertain, we develop and educate, empower and support, associate and network. I hope we lived up to those expectations. And thanks for joining. We will be with you next month, last Wednesday of the month, as always, and bringing you some more of the gurus from the Valley University of Technology that are supporting the initiative, Work Integrated Learning and Student Academic Development Support. Thank you, Kanye. It's been beautiful. I look forward to staying in the studio as I disconnect from our viewers.
Thank you very much. And thank you to the viewers. Thank you so much for having me.
Bye.